Rickie Fowler, who shot an 8 under 62 in the first round, came out on fire in the second round with 3 straight birdies, and then it was a roller coaster from there. Only 4 pars on the day, but Rickie Fowler, who we talked about nearly playing himself out of the highest levels of the game, now sits atop the leaderboard after 36 holes at the 2023 U.S. Open. Here is a look at that leaderboard, and Rickie Fowler is the second favorite going into the weekend because Rory McIlroy, 2 strokes back, a former U.S. Open champ himself, at plus 300 is the betting favorite. Wyndham Clark, 29-year-old American from Denver, Colorado, 1 stroke off the lead, is plus 650 at this moment heading into the weekend. And Rickie Fowler, 10 under par, his combined total of 130 is tied for the lowest ever through 36 holes at a U.S. Open. Martin Keimer and Pinehurst #2 in 2014 won the event after going 130 in the first 36 holes. But look at all the players from just this year's event. Wyndham Clark, 131, right there near the top, 1 stroke back. Rory McIlroy at 132, and Xander Schauffele all in contention as we head into the weekend at the LA Country Club playing on the North Course. And for more on the U.S. Open, as we hit the halfway point of the event, we take you out to LA Country Club and we welcome in CBS Sports golf writer Kyle Porter. And Kyle, you were out there walking that course in round 2, and you saw Rickie Fowler up close in his up and down round, but mostly down as in below par, 2 under par. How do you feel that Rickie has looked through 2 rounds? We're talking about a guy who nearly lost his tour card, changed his whole team, and here he is sitting atop the leaderboard after 2 rounds of the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing, Russ, is that he was on the wrong side of the draw. You know, he played early, late, and that side of the draw was 2 strokes more difficult than late early, and yet he's sitting here after 2 days and leading the golf tournament. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster. You know, he's only made 10 pars over his first 36 holes. I think what's ironic about that is if he makes 36 straight pars over the next 36 holes, probably going to win his first major championship because the golf course is getting more difficult. You see this insane card here, 4 total pars on Thursday to shoot a 68, which is that's certainly one way to do it. But listen, I thought his first 2 days were summed up by the shot he hit on 17. That hole's playing almost a half stroke over par. He hits this filthy kind of drawing iron in there, makes the putt, gets it to 10 under, takes hold of the tournament going into the weekend. And it's pretty impressive stuff, like you said, for somebody who fell out of the top 175 in the world just a year ago and didn't even qualify for the U.S. Open just a year ago. I tweeted this out earlier, but you know, he talked pretty openly, Russ, about the potential to join LIV at the PGA Championship last year. So that was about 13, 14 months ago. He decided not to do it. He grinded his face off, and now he's back in the top 50 in the world, competing for major championships. I just think there's a lot to celebrate when it comes to the way that Rickie Fowler has handled the last couple of years of his career.
Down 18 birdies through 36 holes at the U.S. Open. That is a U.S. Open record, but look, he's got contenders right on his heels, and one of them has won a U.S. Open, although it was quite a while ago in 2011. Rory McIlroy is back there, but Rory's been playing terrific golf lately. How much of a threat to Rickie Fowler at the top is Rory McIlroy right now?
Well, it's a big threat. I mean, he is the favorite of the tournament. You know, it's interesting, Russ. I didn't come into this week thinking that it was a Rory week, and yet he's been really impressive in terms of just the way he's been changing speeds this week. And what I mean by that is, you know, Rory's known obviously for just kind of pounding driver everywhere and hitting it forever. And he's still doing that. He's hitting his driver very well this week, but he's not hitting it everywhere. And I actually asked him about that after his round today. And he said, you know, I went back on YouTube a couple weeks ago and watched my 2014 Open Championship win at Hoylake at Royal Liverpool, which coincidentally is where the Open Championship is again this year. And he said, I was amazed by how many times I hit iron off the tee, how many times I hit 3-wood off the tee. And he's actually done that a lot this week. Even today on the par 4-6, the drivable par 4-6, He said earlier in the week, or he insinuated earlier in the week, that he was going to maybe go for it at all times, yet he laid up today, made another birdie. I've been really impressed with the way he's kind of been changing speeds throughout the week, hitting different clubs, not just relying on driver super heavily. And it's turned into one of his better 36-hole performances of the last several years.
American Wyndham Clark is one stroke better than Rory right now and one stroke behind Rickie Fowler, but tied at 8 under par with Rory McIlroy. Xander Schauffele, who shot that 62 in round one to also set a U.S. Open record for a round. What has Xander Schauffele been able to do? He had an even par round of 70 in round two, and some people think that he is a guy that could win this tournament. What is it about the way he's playing or this course that sets up well for Xander Schauffele?
Well, it's a tremendous iron player. You know, it's interesting. If you look at the top 10 on this leaderboard from Rickie all the way down to Cam Smith at number 10, there's nobody on that leaderboard that's outside the top 16 this week in strokes gained tee to green. So all these guys nobody's faking it. Nobody's pouring in 20-footers, 30-footers to kind of artificially inflate or deflate, I guess, their scores. Everybody's been awesome from tee to green. Xander's probably one of the 3 or 4 best iron players in the world. That's really showing this week. This has become, you know, I think especially he was on the wrong side of the draw as well, but as it baked out this afternoon, his ability to control his irons, I think, really won the day and shone through. This was not obviously as good of a day in shooting 70 as it was on Thursday when he shot 62. But listen, the afternoon played 3 over par. So to shoot 70 means you're gaining 3 strokes on the field. That's when Xander played. His second round was on Friday afternoon. I just thought his iron play, his tee to green play, super impressive. And he does have a chance to win his first major. Rickie Fowler said this, though. He said, listen, 36-hole score, it doesn't mean a lot. It's really all about who leads after 54, because that's when you can kind of take control of the golf tournament. I want to see Xander go out, shoot 66, 67 on Saturday. Maybe even 68, depending on how difficult it is, take hold of the golf tournament and really give himself an opportunity to win what would be his first major championship.
We'll talk about Saturday in just a second, but first let's talk about some guys who won't even get the opportunity to play on Saturday because they missed the cut. The cut was +2, which normally actually is a pretty good score through 2 rounds at a U.S. Open, but we're seeing like Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth, Max Homa, who a lot of people had high hopes for coming into this event, and Justin Thomas. 14 over par near the bottom of the field, and he's gone before the weekend. Who's the most surprising player on the did not make the cut list?
Well, I think it's Justin Thomas, not necessarily because he didn't make the cut, but because he nearly finished in last. He shot an 81 on Friday and just completely ejected from the tournament. It was extraordinary. You know, this is the second missed cut in the first 3 majors of 2023. He's playing terrible golf. You know, my buddy Ryan Lavner of Golf Channel spoke with him afterwards, and he said, this is about as low as I've been, you know, and so I think there's some real intrigue around how's this going to go for JT the rest of the year going into 2024. He's been one of the 10 best players in the world for a long time, and he's really fallen out of that so far in 2023. And he's just really struggling right now to find his game and to get back where he once was as one of the, you know, he won the PGA Championship last year, and now he's like, this is the lowest I've been. So I think there's, you know, that to me is the most interesting of the miscuts at this U.S. Open.
You just hope that everything's going all right for him off the course. We know that obviously his game isn't where he wants it to be. We know that people are putting up low scores here, lower than we're used to seeing at U.S. Opens, which means there is room for somebody to make a run on Saturday. Who do you think that person might be?
Yeah, I think Hideki Matsuyama has a real opportunity to make a run. Now, he's +1, so he's 11 bags, so it's going to have to be a really big run. But I mentioned the tee to green play earlier. He's top 5 in this field so far in a strokes gained tee to green. He hasn't hit any putts. You know, it's really been kind of a Scotty Scheffler-like performance from Hideki Matsuyama, where he's lights out. He was in that group with Brooks Koepka and Rory McIlroy. And he wasn't, I don't know if he was hitting it quite as good as those guys, especially Rory, but man, he hit some good shots when I was watching him throughout the morning on Friday morning. So I think he has an opportunity to maybe go shoot something special on Saturday, maybe get into the mix on Sunday. We saw this last year from him. He had kind of had a sneaky top 5 at Brookline last year when he had an unbelievable performance on Sunday. So if he gets that on Saturday, he can maybe play his way into it a little bit and, get inside that top 10, maybe challenge to win this championship on Sunday afternoon.
Kyle, I'm going to ask for your pick to win in just a second, but I got to ask because we haven't had a chance as golf fans to see this course until we saw it on TV. It's not a course that you've been there on foot. How would you describe this course in person?
Well, it's a good question. I think the comp that we kind of came up with earlier in the week, it's a mixture of Marion and Chambers Bay. And that's kind of a weird mixture maybe, but it's got the length or the lack of length that a Marion has. But it's got kind of that, especially when it gets baked out, it gets really brown and kind of, it's not as crazy as like Chambers Bay was kind of like the surface of the moon. So it's not like that here, but it does have some real, there's not a ton of rough, but it really gets browned out and baked out. And I love that. It's a really, I think the thing that people are maybe missing when they talk about the low scores is it demands a ton of creativity from you. And I think that's one reason that Rory's been playing so well this week is he's been really creative with kind of his shot making and his shot shaping and with kind of his core strategy. And I think that's one thing, again, that people are maybe missing a little bit is it engenders a lot of creativity from players in ways that a lot of other golf courses often do not.
All right, let's get to the brass tacks here. Rickie Fowler leads by 1 stroke, and there are all sorts of players within striking distance as we head into the weekend. Who do you have as the last man standing holding the trophy on Sunday?
Well, I got to stick with my guy. My pre-tournament pick was Scottie Scheffler. I'm rolling with him. He kind of low-key sneaked it in the house at 5 under, so he's going to be in one of the last 5 pairings. I think he's with Cam Smith in the 5th to last pairing on Saturday. Russ, I think he's going to shoot like a 67, 66 on Saturday, be in maybe the final pairing, one of the final 2 pairings going into Sunday, and challenge for what would be his second major championship in addition to that Masters win last year.
All right, you got the world #1 lurking in Scottie Scheffler. That is Kyle Porter. He is a CBS Sports golf writer there with us from LA Country Club. Thank you so much, Kyle. Here's a look at the odds to win as we head into the weekend at the 123rd U.S. Open. Rory McIlroy is your betting favorite at plus 300 with the leader, Rickie Fowler, just behind him at plus 350. Scottie Scheffler, that's Kyle Porter's pick, the world #1, sitting at plus 700 as we head into Saturday's round 3.